How are you?
Hello.
My name is Stephanie, and it's a pleasure to be here with you. We're hosting this event. It's our first Digital Nomads meeting of our community. I want to know from if everyone here is a digital nomad or where are you from? Tell me. Where are you from? Come on.
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. What else? Boston. Very nice. Very nice.
Los Angeles.
Good.
I'm not a digital nomad, I'm a director of photography.
Oh, wow. Awesome. That's really cool. Well, I'm from Argentina, but I also live in another place, but right now I'm living here. And this is our first event where we're going to have a really special talk. It's part of a Nomads BA Talks that we're going to have different guests and speakers. They're going to share us their own experience and add value to us, how they travel around the world and how they live their own digital nomad life. This is part also of a whole of activities that is from Nomads BA. We were born in 2014 and we are working with BA Global and the government of the city of Buenos Aires, where we're going to have different activities the whole year, such as workshops and parties, after offices, cultural things, wellness. So we're going to have a lot of things. I suggest everyone to follow us on the social media, that is Nomads BA. That there also we're going to announce the Nomads Week and the biggest conference that is going to happen really soon. So very good, I think he is following us. So yes, this is such an amazing place. So thank you so much, Selina, for the support. Also, they are going to have news after we finish with this event. They're going to say some news that they have for you to have fun, to meet people, because this is our goal, that we are a community. We want to connect everyone and to show our country with you. So I hope you can have fun and connect with other people. And I don't know if you guys know, but Buenos Aires was chosen one of the best cities for tourism, so we're really happy for that, and also is in the top 10 world cities for digital nomads. So also another news, we have a lot of news today, that we're going to have an exclusive visa for digital nomads. We're going to talk about this today, that I think there are a lot of people that are interested. But of course, you didn't come to listen to me. And I'm going to introduce you one of my friends that he traveled the world a lot of places, and he combined his passion, that is education, technology, and filmmaking, and he built different startups and projects, but today he is going to talk about how he could build his startup that is called Cineastas del Futuro, that is in Spanish, or future filmmakers. And it's an honor to introduce you to Sebastian Chuffer. So please, proceed.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thanks. Thank you, Ale. Welcome. Have a seat. You can have a seat with Puppy, maybe. Look, she's there. Puppy is having the main seat in the place. Hi, I'm Sebastian. Thank you all for coming here. Thank you, Selina, and thank you the Nomad Hub for inviting me. Puppy is not letting you use his place. I'm so sorry. It's okay. He's the queen here. Thank you all for coming. It's a pleasure. And today I'm gonna have a presentation that is a new presentation. It has some fun. A few days ago, well, first I put some memes into the presentation. I never did that, but yeah, it has some memes. I love memes. I hope you do too. Yeah, so let's start. Let's start. I'm Sebastian Chuffer. I'm a filmmaker, entrepreneur, and I have traveled around the world for many years. So this talk is gonna be about traveling and entrepreneurship and business. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about how I connected both. This came because they asked me to do a few days ago. I was quite busy, and they asked me to give a talk here. So they gave me a very beautiful title on the talk, and I say, oh, this is a very beautiful title, so I have to give a talk about this, and I like the title. So I say, okay, this was my face. So I say, okay, we have to connect traveling with business and entrepreneurship. So I say, okay, what are we gonna do about this? And I've been a traveler for many years. I traveled for 6 years around the world. I traveled in India, in New Zealand, in Australia, in Mexico, in Middle East, in Thailand, in many places, like for 6 years. And in some places I was like traveling and making startups, and in some places I was just traveling and I did all kinds of stuff. I was doing filmmaking, I was doing interviews, I was doing documentaries. This is an old video that I have that shows a little bit of my travels around the world. So I say, okay, how can we connect traveling with making a startup and entrepreneurship? So how can I connect my traveling and hippie style of being a backpacker and traveling around the world with having this serious face and having a suit and all this kind of stuff that I look like a serious guy and investing and all this kind of stuff of a startup, right? So I say, okay, how can we start with this? And I tried to find in the dictionary yesterday what's the definition of an entrepreneur. Someone who starts their own business, especially when this involves seeing a new opportunity. Also, an individual who creates and or invests in one or more businesses, bearing most of the risks and enjoying most of the rewards. Entrepreneur is commonly seen as an innovator, a source of new ideas, goods, services, and businesses or procedures. Okay, I remember a book I read many years ago while I was traveling on the Middle East. I don't know if you know about this book. It's Joseph Campbell, The Hero with 1,000 Faces. It's a book based on Jungian ideas that in this book, it was based on Star Wars. The story structure of Star Wars was based on this book. Like, it's the classical story, and I'll show you a little video. We will need sound now. But basically what it makes is, it tells that all the stories are the same story. It's a monomyth that we all try to achieve something, and we try to be someone else, and we try to go through something that is different from where we are now. And all the stories, all the most stupid and simple stories that we see on the soap operas and the most complex Shakespeare and anything that we tell a friend or that our kids tell us or whatever is the same story. It's someone that goes through a path of discovery, that they go from the known to the unknown, and they get into something else. And through their will and their desire, they have to get to solve this issue and get somewhere else. So they get from the known to the unknown, from the order to the chaos, and they come back. It's a circle. And this guy, Joseph Campbell, wrote a book about this. He's one of the biggest mythologists, the one that studied how mythology structures works. I really recommend this book. It's not an academic complex book. It is a little bit academic, but it's not so complex, and it's really nice to read. I really recommend it. And I'll show you a little bit on this book that is very short. Oh, we'll need some. Yeah. We will have next. Oh, I lost you.
What do Harry Potter, Katniss Everdeen, and Frodo all have in common with the heroes of ancient myths? What if I told you they are all variants of the same hero? Do you believe that? Joseph Campbell did. He studied myths from all over the world and published a book called The Hero with a Thousand Faces, retelling dozens of stories and explaining how each represents the monomyth or hero's journey. So, what is the hero's journey? Think of it as a cycle. The journey begins and ends in the hero's ordinary world, but the quest passes through an unfamiliar, special world. Along the way, there are some key events. Think about your favorite book or movie. Does it follow this pattern? Status quo, that's where we start. 1 o'clock, call to adventure. The hero receives a mysterious message, an invitation, a challenge. 2 o'clock, assistance. The hero needs some help, probably from someone older, wiser. 3 o'clock, departure. The hero crosses the threshold from his normal, safe home and enters the special world and adventure. We're not in Kansas anymore. 4 o'clock, trials. Being a hero is hard work. Our hero solves a riddle, slays a monster, escapes from a trap. 5 o'clock, approach. It's time to face the biggest ordeal, the hero's worst fear. 6 o'clock, crisis. This is the hero's darkest hour. He faces death and possibly even dies, only to be reborn. 7 o'clock, treasure. As a result, the hero claims some treasure, special recognition, power. 8 o'clock, result. This can vary between stories. Do the monsters bow down before the hero, or do they chase him as he flees from the special world? 9 o'clock, return. After all that adventure, the hero returns to his ordinary world. 10 o'clock, new life. This quest has changed the hero. He has outgrown his old life. 11 o'clock, resolution. All the tangled plot lines get straightened out. 12 o'clock, status quo, but upgraded to a new level. Nothing is quite the same once you're a hero. Many popular books and movies follow this ancient formula pretty closely, but let's see how well The Hunger Games fits the hero's journey template. When does Katniss Everdeen hear a call to adventure that gets the story moving? When her sister's name is called from the lottery? How about assistance? Is anyone going to help her on her adventure? Hey, Mitch. What about departure? Does she leave her ordinary world? She gets on a train to the capital. Okay, so you get the idea. What do you have in common with Harry Potter, Katniss Everdeen, and Frodo? Well, you're human, just like them. The hero's journey myth exists in all human cultures and keeps getting updated because we humans reflect on our world through symbolic stories of our own lives. You leave your comfort zone, have an experience that transforms you, and then you recover and do it again. You don't literally slay dragons or fight Voldemort, but you face problems just as scary. Joseph Campbell said, "In the cave you fear to enter lies the treasure you seek." What is the symbolic cave you fear to enter? Auditions for the school play? Baseball tryouts? Love? Watch for this formula in books, movies, and TV shows you come across. You will certainly see it again, but also be sensitive to it in your own life. Listen for your call to adventure. Accept the challenge. Conquer your fear and claim the treasure you seek. And then do it all over again.
Well, I thought this had a big connection. There we are. There we are. I felt this had a great connection between what we do. This had a connection with everything we do as human beings, but being a traveler and being an entrepreneur has something similar on getting out of your comfort zone, having a desire to change something. This is the face of like, what are you talking about, right? We have a desire to change something, and we get into a journey of change. Like, that's what we do as entrepreneurs, as travelers. Usually we get into the unknown, we get to buy a ticket, we get to a place that we don't know what's gonna happen, and usually we want to change, we want something to change, in the world. The same thing when we do a startup, usually we want something to be changed in the world. We have something that we don't like it as it is. Usually a startup or any kind of company has a purpose, has a vision of changing something. There is something that is wrong and we need to change. There is something that is wrong and the company, except that you are doing something unconsciously, the company should be solving a problem, and the money that you get with the company should be because someone is paying you to solve that problem. And that's like the organic way of how companies and startups works. So this is a simplification. Don't get confused of this. This is not the hero journey. The hero journey is the one that you saw before. This was made by, it's a simplification that the creator of Rick and Morty did. That is a story cycle. You can check it out also. The creator of Rick and Morty created this simplification that he uses. I put this one because it's simpler in not to explain it so much. But the creator of Rick and Morty is really good, and he created this one that is 8 steps, not 12, as Joseph Campbell. You can read about it and you can check it in Rick and Morty structure, how every chapter, if you love Rick and Morty, every chapter is exactly like this because it's this structure. So you need something, so you go, you search, you find, you take something, you return, you change, and then you start again. That's just what we do all the time, every day. You can check that in one day in your life. You can check that in your whole life, in the story of everyone that did something important in their life, or you can do it in one day in your life. Like, what's the conflict that you had today? Like, you go and what happened? No, today I went taxi didn't come on time, so I had to do this, and I almost didn't arrive at work at time, and I almost lose my job. Whatever, it's a conflict. So you go through a series of steps that you have to go through, and it could be very simple conflict, but there is a conflict, and you have a wheel, and you change. So, yeah, what are you talking about? There is a need. In my case, this is we don't have to put sound, it's only, I saw this movie that won an Oscar, and I became a really good friend of the director, Carlos Volado, one of the 3 directors in Mexico. It was the final scene of the movie called Promises, that shows Palestinian and Israeli kids being born. It's a very good movie, it's called Promises. And I saw that these kids are not gonna get a gun and kill each other when they are born, except that they are gonna receive a story and they are gonna be told something, a story. So watching this made me realize that stories, this is my case on how I created my startup. I realized that stories were an operative system that were not only artistic and interesting and for interesting purpose for Netflix or just for fun. Stories were something that created a behavior. So I realized that I needed to do something about stories and about kids, because kids are gonna have stories, and these stories are gonna make the world that we're gonna have in the future. These stories can make a kid get a gun and kill someone. So I realized the stories are not something just for fun or something that you can have in an art class, or like, it's the operative system on how human beings create behavior. So the stories that kids receive and the stories they tell themselves or they tell others are gonna create behavior and are gonna make someone be a politician and make an entire country get in fight with another country, or do stupid things or do great things. So this is why I created a filmmaking academy for kids and created a startup that solves the problem related to storytelling technology and the future of how kids learn. So that's why I created a startup that solves this problem. This was my why, and it is now also. But this is what made me realize that there was something. And this happened while I was traveling. I was traveling around the world and I saw this problem. I saw someone in the Middle East being killed, and I saw in Egypt people, and in Palestine and in Israel, and I saw all these things, and it was just stories. They all have stories, they all had emotions that they all were right. They were stories. They had people that were killing both sides, so it's like the stories were true. They all had people that were killed, so it's quite complicated because they will still repeating the story. So this is why I decided to create a project to solve this problem. And now I'm gonna go to Krishnamurti. That is, I don't know if someone knows Krishnamurti? Nice. Krishnamurti doesn't have anything to do with the word Krishna, it's just his last name. But he is a very interesting guy from India. He say, after all conflict arises, does it not, through the desire to be something, to be other than what it is. And I think that's what makes us travel, what makes us wake up and do something, and what makes us start a startup or whatever we want to do. There's a conflict, there's something that we want it to be different than what it is. This is like stories. We read stories since we get stories all the time in Netflix. We are all the time, when we are dreaming also we are having stories. This is like the why I was like interested in stories as an operating system of behavior and the brain, not as something just artistic and expressive only. And we also were making stories since we are in the caves. And Aristotle said that when storytelling goes bad in society, the result is decadence, and that's what I saw. And most of the empires that we had, I think, they decayed when storytelling, they cannot support the stories that they are supporting. So any story has a start, it has a conflict, and it has a resolution. And it has someone that has a desire, and that desire makes a conflict. This is basic also Aristotle. It's a basic that you study in any drama school, theater, filmmaking, writing. This is the basic of stories, the most basic structure of storytelling. Like, it's the basics from the Greeks and from before. There is a start, there is a conflict, there is a resolution. We do it all the time. When we talk with someone, you don't have to study this. It's just like, hey, what happened? What did you do today? We use this, like, hey, yeah, I was like this, and something happened, and then, we do it all the time. And usually, to have a conflict, we need to have a desire. Because if there is no desire, there is no conflict. If there is a cookie, and we both want the cookie, and I don't care about the cookie, it's like, yeah, whatever, there's no conflict. So we need to have a desire. And the bigger the desire, the bigger the conflict. I want the cookie, I want the cookie. Okay, have it, no more conflict. Okay, so we need to have the desire. In entrepreneurship, what we do is observe a problem, create a solution, and we find the desire of people that need that solution. So there are lots of problems. I don't know if you saw problems in the world. Maybe I don't know, but I think there are a few. So if you want to have a startup or do something, there are a few opportunities because problems we still have for a while. So you have a few opportunities to do stuff. And there are lots of people there, you can observe them, talk to them and see what they need, what they can have, or whatever. There are a few problems in the world. And Joseph Campbell say, a hero is someone who has given his or her life to something bigger than oneself. This is a structure Joseph Campbell said, like, yeah, basically, when you do something that is bigger than yourself, than your own ego, than what you want for yourself, this is what we do when we create, or at least, like, I think big companies, that people that really created something that is big, they didn't do it for themselves. All these big companies that you see when you study the story of Nike, of Apple, of all these very big companies, for money or not for money, ONGs also, whatever, they were doing something for the world. Not, maybe they have some ego problems also, they are not, of course, but they were doing something bigger than themselves. They were not only thinking on themselves. Of course, they are human beings, and we don't have to make an ideal image that they were perfect and saints. They were not. But they were doing something bigger than themselves. They were not thinking on themselves. If you read their biographies, you will see they were struggling. Also, the hero is not an ideal hero. It's a human being. They do stupid things, they do mistakes, they struggle. That's a hero. It's not an ideal, enlightened being. It's someone that has a lot of problems and goes through difficult and cries, and you saw it on the video. They go to very dark places also, and they don't know what to do. And Elon Musk made lots of stuff, but he almost crashed many times. Like many times, if you see what happened with him 8 years ago, he did like he almost failed many times. Now we see him like as a hero and multimillionaire, but he was like struggling lots of time, and he failed and he broke many things, and he probably will keep doing that. It's not that he's like a hero. Okay, so now I'm gonna go into very specific things, no more philosophy, and we're gonna go into a few specific things on how we can get all this philosophy into very practical things. This is a talk I created a few days ago, and I want to get it into a few chunks of real specific things that from my own experience on how to make this. For when you find the problem that you want to solve, my experience is I use the scientific method, or at least the scientific thinking, and I found the definition: making conjectures, hypothetical explanations, deriving predictions from the hypothesis as logical consequences, and then carrying out experiments or empirical observations based on those predictions. What we do as entrepreneurs, or whatever we want to do, I think it's very important from my own experience, is that you don't know. You don't know anything. It's just an idea, it's an hypothesis, and you don't have any idea. It could be the greatest idea, and you say, this is a great idea, and I'm gonna make a company, and I'm gonna do something big with this. But you need to stop. I saw many people, and I read a lot about it, and everyone has a great idea, but you need a methodology, because you could be wrong. And maybe you're right, but also scientists could be right. But they apply the method anyway, because they could be wrong. And with the method you can reduce risk, and you could get closer to being right. So I think methods are really important, because everyone thinks they are right most of the time, and most of the people are wrong. So statistics shows that maybe a method could help you to get closer, at least not to be wrong. So I think reading and having tools like this that people use for thousands of years, or these hundreds, can help you. And to have an hypothesis and understand that you have an hypothesis, and it's just an hypothesis, making a model and making experiments about that can make you much closer to being right and to learn also. It's not just to be right, it's to learn. Because if you are wrong, at least you will learn from the process. If you don't have a method, you won't learn, because you don't have a structure on how to understand what happened. It will just be like, oh, it didn't happen. So you won't know the variables on how to understand why it didn't work. Yeah, another meme. What are you talking about? Okay, so you find the problem, you design a solution, and you go back, create, and learn from the experience. Once you have that, you can create a repetitive and scalable process. I think that's very important. What I think is one of the main things on doing that, I told you that I was going to come from philosophy and abstract concepts to something very concrete. I'm going very quickly. Are you with me here? It's okay? The Canvas model, do you know the Canvas model? Okay, the Canvas model is a business model made by Osterwalder, if I'm not wrong. Osterwalder, I think is the name, or something like that. It's a classical, basic business model that I think is one of the simplest, and because it's so simple, it's so util, it's so good, because you can always come back to it and get to learn about it. Basically, you try to make a model, you have an idea, you think this could be good, and you have like a value proposition, you think, okay, I think this could be valuable for someone. And here you put, who is this someone? Is someone that is a girl, is older, how old are them, where are them, which kind of people are them? People from 20 to 35, they are men, just men, they are a woman, they live in Latin America, they speak Spanish, they speak English, what do they do? Like, you try to understand which value are you gonna give to whom, and channels, and here you have also cost structure and value. We are not gonna explain this now, but it's a model, it's a very simple model on how you're gonna make a structure, on how you're gonna, basically what, I don't wanna get very deep into this because I think it's very important, but it's gonna be long. But basically, you have a value proposition and you have a customer segment, and you have some channels on how you want to give this value proposition to someone. So you make a model, and then you try to understand and talk to people about it. So you think this thing will be valuable to solve a problem through certain channels to a specific customer segment. So it's just an hypothesis. You think that's going to work, but you don't know. You think like a scientist, it might work. You think, you're pretty sure it's gonna work, but you don't know. So you go out and you talk with people. You talk with real people, not with online things. You could do it online, whatever. But if you have the people, just get a coffee, ask someone. Like, if it's woman from 40 years old that go to the gym in certain area, that you think those women need a solution for a specific thing, and you think they are the customer, just go and talk with them. Probably they will be okay with that. For example, I put the coffee there as a kind of a metaphorical thing, because I was working in Starbucks with my computer, and I was talking all the time with parents and kids, asking them all the questions I have in my Canvas model, asking them all the questions I have in my hypothesis about the filmmaking academy for kids. So I was all the time asking questions. And I was like, hey, sorry, can I ask you a question? I have an idea, and I want to ask you something. And they were like, okay. They were like, yeah, sure, yeah, what? It was weird, but it was okay. And I learned a lot, because it was just ideas in my mind. And they were like, yeah, ask me whatever you want. So I was asking kids, and I was asking their parents, things that I didn't know, it was ideas. And so I was learning at the moment I had idea, I was making an hypothesis, and I was like, as a scientist, checking if they were into that, if it was right or not. Because most of the people, what they do is just like creating a product and getting to try to sell it before having a coffee or asking someone real about if your hypothesis might be right. So I think the Canvas model is a very good model to get to structure your idea, to understand that it's an hypothesis, that you might be right, you might be wrong, and then talk to people, then come back here, then come back to people, then come back here, and get into a moment that you see that all this works. So you see, whoa, yeah, this is here, it's all connected, and it works. Once it works, you can go and say, whoa, I have a business that shows that my hypothesis might be good. Now I need people to pay for it. But you have a model. You say, oh yeah, these people is like, it solves the problem they have. Okay. An MVP is like a minimum viable product. It's something that you can create with the minimum that you need. It's just like doing something that is the basic of trying to solve the problem that someone has. You don't need to make something that is the maximum product. Most of the times you don't need that. There are certain very specific situations where you need to put a lot of money before, but in 99% of the cases it's not the case. You can have even a presentation of 3 slides in PowerPoint that shows your idea, and you can show it to someone and say, hey, this is a product, this is how it works, this is how much it costs, and show it. You want to pay for it, it solves your problem, so you don't need to an MVP could be that, it could be a Google Sheet, it could be a prototype of an app, it could be whatever. It could be something that shows or solves the problem in a simple way. And I think this is a very good explanation that you don't need to be creating the car in little parts, you need to do something that solves the problem in steps. It doesn't have to be something that doesn't work, but it goes through being a car. You can have the car later, but you can have things that work in first steps that solves the problem that you want to solve. And something that I do most of the time is creating things. This is crazy stuff that I do when I try to create processes and automations and stuff like that. This is nothing. If you see what I create, it's very big and crazy. Yeah. I need a meme here, like the one before, right, like with the math. Well, this is something like, I create the steps. It could be much simpler. But basically, you think, okay, now I have a business model that I think it might work. You need to start to sell to people. So, okay, I'm gonna make an ad that with a video, for example. So you write an ad with a video that says, hey, are you interested in this? Make a click here, whatever, for example. Once they click here, they get into a web page, a landing page that says, do this, and then this, and then this. This complexity that you see here is basically that, but a little bit more complex. But basically, it's like all the steps that you want to do. So, let's get into. Oh yeah. For example, here I'll show you an example. I want to make an ad that I have certain amount of views. This is classical marketing, so I'm getting into all the philosophy into something very specific. I have 1,400 views. 1% of these people click on the ad. 30% of these people sign up for a free webinar. 55% of these people that sign up show up on the free webinar. 10% of the people that show up click on the offer after the webinar, like after the webinar, hey, there's an offer of 50% discount if you buy it in the next 24 hours, right? And 4% of the people that show up purchase the product, right? So this is something that very simple that you can do. It's not so simple, but it is simple once you make it into little pieces and you think all the process. But first you need to make the model and an hypothesis, then you need to make the the steps that you want to test. And here you can test every step. So you say, okay, I need to improve here, I need to improve here, I need to improve here. So you say, okay, people are clicking in the ad, but they are not doing sign-ups. Or people are signing up, but they are not showing up. So here you can learn and get to improve any step of the way that you want to improve, right? For example, people are signing up and showing up, but they are not clicking on the offer. So, okay, let's try to make a better offer or try to talk more about the offer or whatever. So then you make it again, and then you say, okay, now it's 15%. Okay, so you get the point. Like, once you have this kind of metrics, you can learn and you can come back and model it and come back and change it. So basically, you get leads, you get people that are interested in your product, and you get conversion, people that pay for your product. And you learn. So I'm simplifying here, like you get people that are interested, that give you information, hey, give me your email, sign up here. And you have people that pay for it. So you start to learn and say, hey, I'm gonna get more leads, and I'm gonna get people that pay. And this is how you learn that you are solving the problem of people that are interested in what you do. But basically, you are solving a problem. That's what we do with the startup. And I'm gonna come back to why we are in a journey and solving a problem. We need to not to forget about why we started now. Because we're talking about numbers and about selling and about marketing and stuff like that. But what we are trying to do with all this stuff is to solve a problem. I think that's something that maybe some people forget when they get into all this kind of stuff. They are paying you because you are solving a problem and because you have a purpose. So basically, you can have more leads, you can have more conversions, and you can make this cycle and say, hey, I have 100 leads, 100 people that gave me their phone or their email that were interested, and 10 people pay. Okay, so you have a ratio here, and you can have this improved, doing things in every step of the way, right? It's the same thing I show you here, but in a more simple way. You have people that are interested and people that pay, so you can improve that. Well, we're not gonna get into this, but ROI is a marketing number that is like the amount of money that you put and the amount of money that you get once you put money here. You put $1,000 and you get $9,000 because of the people that paid, for example. So this is like you put $1, you get $9,000, for example. This is an example. So you get into putting an amount of money into ads, and this is the amount of money. So this is something that you can improve while you are doing marketing. This is basic metrics of marketing and entrepreneurship that any company should be improving and having into their basic statistics. Okay, I'll show you a video of Gary Vee. I don't know if you know him.
You can't imagine what happens when you make a piece of video content that's really good, that people watch for 2 minutes and 9 seconds, all the way through, or 50% of the way through, and then you remarket them with a call to action. You can't imagine. You want to really believe in marketing? Do that. You want to really believe in how marketing works? Let me give you the quickest way you can feel really good at putting your head on a pillow and saying, yeah, this shit actually works. Make a great fucking video, target it properly, get hundreds of thousands of people to see quite a bit of it, and then remarket them for a call to action and watch how many convert. You'll believe in marketing for the rest of your life. It works. It's just that nobody's natively building for that.
Well, and I think for making that, you need to tell a story. Like what he says is true. You need to make a story and tell why you are making that, and try to convince people that you are trying to solve a problem that is important. That's basically like what we do as entrepreneurs. If you are connecting with the real purpose and try to
do the journey of trying to solve the problem that is real and that it really motivates you, and you put that into connected with entrepreneurship and with the business, you're really making something that it's gonna get people to pay for it because you are solving a problem. If you get into the metrics and trying to money and all this stuff without understanding that you are solving a problem for someone else, it could also work. You can also die. You can also, but at the core, what you are doing is a journey of solving a problem, and you are telling a story to people, and you are convincing them that you are solving a problem of someone else. These are a few books that I really recommend because a few years ago I gave a talk here with the Nomads also with all the marketing stuff, but very deep into the explanation of the metrics. We are not doing that now here. But these are a few books that I really recommend into the marketing, growth marketing, and some marketing basics. You can take a photo or whatever. This is the basics of the lean method and customer development. This is like the canvas model and how to create a startup. This is a basic on how to create a company, basically. This guy is a genius. This is how to automate and create processes for a company so you can get out of it and that it just works. And this is about selling. This is really good for learning and selling, that what everyone tries to get out of it. And most of the people don't want to sell, and selling for me is like, I also don't like to sell, but for me selling is like learning from people, like, because people tells you no, and then you learn why not, and then you make a product that people want that solves a problem. So selling at the beginning of a company for me is like learning to make something that solves a problem. So you as an entrepreneur, and a founder, you cannot get out of selling. You need to build and you need to sell, because selling is listening to someone saying, no, I cannot pay, or I'm not interested. So you go back and you say, okay, why people are not buying? And you go back and because you need people to pay to solve the problem. If they are not paying, there is something that you need to solve, so it's organic. You want to ask something?
Yeah, I bought that book, Sell Like Crazy.
Yeah.
Because of his funnel. It was. Have you seen that funnel on the ads?
Yeah.
It was very cheap. All the remarketing that he did, I finally bought his book. But then I didn't trust about his sales system automations, because after he sell the book, he sell a system that costs $200 and solves all. He sells you all the automation system for your business.
He sells you another.
Yeah. First, he sells the book. He sells you the book, like $6, very cheap. And when you receive the book in the packet, he gives you a letter.
Yeah.
And he sells you another system, but all automated for your business, like all the funnel or the system.
I hate his method of selling. And I didn't buy his book because of it. I bought it before, and I didn't buy it because of his funnel. But I think his resume on all the methods that he has is really good. But it's not only one method. That he shows you like 5 tools mainly that are really good, and it's a really good resume on how to sell and how to market a product. But what he makes is it works. It works really good because you buy it, but it's very intense. I don't like it. I don't do that, and I don't like this kind of marketing. But it's not exactly what it shows in that book. It tells you how to give value first, and it makes an entire funnel that is not exactly what he makes all the time. He makes something that is really intrusive, and it's not so cool. I don't like it.
It was funny because before you bought the book, he is like very intense, very, very intense, as you said. But then you go into another funnel where he shows much more relaxed, showing his wife, and other person, he faced another face.
He's very intense. Yes. Yeah, he's very intense, but the book is really good at systematizing, and it's a very good, like, he doesn't say anything new, but he shows like in five things that are in many books, in one book. So I think it's a very good book to understand 5 concepts that are really good, basically. But yeah, he's very intense. He sends me like emails every week, like with lots of stuff that I never read. So once you get into the webpage, it's like you get ads like all day, and it's like, come on. So yeah, I think like you need to find a problem that you want to solve in the world. There are problems, I think, around there that you can find. The world needs people to solve problems. So yeah, basically, I think it's very good to understand that this structure that we all can find an issue in the world that touches us and that we want to solve. So yeah, basically, and this is a book I'm reading now of Naval that says quit competition through authenticity, and I like that because I think something that we can do is like, once you do something that is your own and it's really what you are obsessed, and it's something that is a passion that you have, and you go 100% into what you really, really like and what you are, especially what you're obsessed about. Because nobody will be better at something that you're obsessed and it's a passion that you have, because something that you're obsessed about, anything else, something will be much better at it, probably. But usually, anyone knows that you, since you're a little kid, probably you're obsessed about something, maybe, and you're really good at it, and you will be really good and better at it than anyone else. So I think it's really important to try to find that, and I think once you find that, you don't have to compete with anyone else because you are best at that. I think that's why I really like that quote that he said, with competition through authenticity. So I think that's something nice to do, try to find what you are really passionate and obsessed about that you want to solve in the world, and not try to find just something random. So try to find a problem that you really, really will be 100% trying to solve, because you have to be a little bit crazy to travel, and you also have to be a little bit crazy to make a startup, because it's logically, and if you make maths about it, it's really not a good idea to do that. When everyone talks about being an entrepreneur, and nowadays it's like really cool to be an entrepreneur, if you see maths, it's like a really, really bad idea. It's like 95% of the venture capital startups, they fail really bad after 5 years. I don't know exactly the math, but it's like really, really bad. So it's like if someone tells you jump from here and you have 5% possibilities of not dying, you shouldn't do that. So you have to be a little bit crazy of like becoming an entrepreneur, because it's statistically, now I'm being like, after all this, I'm being very, very like, don't do that. So you have to be really crazy, probably you are, so if you are, just do it. But if you are passionate and you think that you should do that, do it. But statistically, it's like really bad statistic of something that works. So I think that's why having a method and having a scientific model of thinking can make you not to do something stupid, and having a few steps on reducing risk on how to get there. And you don't have just to do something and jump. You can jump, you know, you could die if you jump, but not if you have a method. You say, okay, I'm gonna do this and try like this, and you have steps into there, and you know that it's risky, but you have a tool to reduce those risks. So I think it's like very good to have a methodology and mentors and reading from people that already did that and getting help and mentors. Exactly what you have in the Hero of the Thousand Faces, that you try to find a problem, you go out of your comfort zone, you get into the unknown, and you go into all these spaces, you find mentors, and you come back again, and you change yourself, and you change the world. And now I'm going to show you a little video on what we do with Future for Makers, that this is like my purpose and what I created to try to do something a little bit better with my life and do something meaningful. Oh.
Es escena 1, plano 4, toma 3. El cine para mí es mi pasión y es lo más. Es un entretenimiento hermoso.
Oh, it's in Spanish. I didn't realize that.
I can translate.
Yeah, I can translate it. Someone wants to. There are many videos in English also, but. You want to translate?
Yeah, I can translate.
Cámara, es escena 1, plano 4, toma 3. El cine para mí es mi pasión y es lo más. Es un entretenimiento hermoso, genial, que te hace creer que lo imposible es real, porque vos pensás.
Es una forma de expresar lo que vos sentís, lo que vos ves y cómo ves el mundo.
Para mí es una experiencia muy linda. Viene acá a potenciar todas sus capacidades creativas.
Una escuela de cine para chicos, de las cosas que hay en el multiverso.
Gracias.
It's very diverse.
Quiero seguir todo mi
And
vida.
it's something that I
También
would
con toda la
want
visión de
continue
muchos
to
aspectos de su
pursue.
vida.
Y no sé, es un lugar de magia.
It's a place of magic.
Yeah. I didn't realize that video was in Spanish. But yeah, basically they say how special. It's a testimony on the school.
It's a
and
place
stuff.
of magic.
It's a place of magic. Yeah, basically. Yeah. So thank you. Now there is a moment of questions. If we have time. No, there's no moment of questions. So no, there's no moment of questions. There are no questions to be asked.
We can follow you on your.
Yeah, you can make questions. You can follow Future Filmmakers is Cineastas del Futuro, and you can follow me, Seba Chuffer. In the presentation we have it there. We have the slides. Yeah, you cannot make questions. There is no question to be asked.
We put your Instagram on the social media of Nomads.
Oh yeah, you have it there, and you can make any question, please. Like really, like if you wanna make any kind of questions.
Yeah.
Lou, I think after Steffi is gonna talk. Lou, you're gonna talk about it. She's gonna exactly talk. Even we have some slides about it. They're gonna talk exactly about the digital nomad. That is something new. So this is exactly what they're gonna talk about. Exactly about that. So this next great question. So yeah, thank you very much. Now Steffi is gonna talk. Thank you for coming, and thank you everyone, Selina and Digital Hub. Thank you, and write me any question that you have. I extended my presentation. I didn't have it. It's a new presentation, so yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Sebas. It was really interesting. I hope everyone could enjoy and learn. And follow us again on our social media, because we're going to have different events this month. We're going to have another talk. We're going to have a party that is going to be really fun. And also, we're going to have a special event where we're going to explain everything about the visa for digital nomads. But to make a summary of that thing about the visa that I know a lot of people here are interested, we're going to invite Nerio from BA Global to talk a little bit about that. So.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Sebas, for the talk. I'm from the government of the city of Buenos Aires. I run the digital nomad program of the government. The program had almost 2 years old. We organized the first conference, digital nomad conference here in Argentina last year, and we are planning to do the second edition on December 2nd. And we have very good news about your question, because I don't know about Russia, but here in Argentina from this week, nobody will ask you about what you are going to do, because you are going to present the visa, digital nomad visa that you applied, because the national government launched the special visa for digital nomad this week. So from now on, digital nomad here in Argentina could apply for the visa, could stay here for 6 months, sorry, and could ask for another 6 months. So you can spend a whole year here in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, work here, digital work here, and nobody is going to ask you, and there won't be any requirements, special requirements.
We're not going to kick this out.
No, nobody. So that's a huge announce. We expect that because of that announced, the digital nomad here in Argentina will grow in numbers in the month ahead. So, and as part of that, we are running this digital nomad program when we offer our community many benefits, from discounted hotels, residencies, co-working spaces. We have an agreement with the insurance company, and we are organizing this kind of meetups, the parties, and we are going to launch a volunteer program. We are going to have cultural events, so please follow our digital media. So because we are going to have a lot of activities during this year, and everything will end on December 2 with the second edition of the conference that will be bigger than the last year, and we hope, of course, your participation. So thank you very much for being here. Yes, please.
There's no income requirements?
No income requirements, no. Very flexible. Yes.
You're here already under like a non-digital nomad visa. Does it already extend? So if I'm here on a 90-day,
no.
Does it extend to the 180?
No, it was just launched 2 days ago. You enter the country with a tourist visa. You can change it. Yeah.
I would have to change it.
I don't know if you are allowed to change it. You have to enter the country within the digital nomad visa. We didn't have much information for the next meetup. We have much more information. We will have a presentation with all the data that you need for apply, and all the questions that you may need about immigration or how to stay here in Argentina. So thank you very much. All right. Hope you enjoy.
Thank you. Everyone is on the WhatsApp group. You can join us, and also there we're going to post everything that's going on. And now, to finish our event, I want to introduce you to Luisina, that she is from Selina, this amazing place, and they're always supporting us. So thank you very much, and thank you everyone to come here today.